Speaking Human.
Today on Speaking Human, we snap, crackle, and pop through decades of brand slogans from Got Milk to Taste the Rainbow to determine which ones are the best of the best.
Speaking Human.
Welcome to Speaking Human, where we simplify the world of marketing for humans. I'm Shad Conley, and with me is my co-host, Patrick Jebber.
What's up, man? We're talking about slogans today. I love it.
I know. What's your slogan? What's your personal slogan?
Sarcasm is my middle name. You know, my first name is O-S-C-A-R.
Ah,
See? See what I did there?
yeah, I do. Is that a slogan? I don't know. Or is that a jingle?
It's probably a jingle.
Tough call. A lot of these things are walking a fine line.
They are. But you know what? It's a fine line that I'm ready to walk today.
Oh, and we will walk it. But first, it's game time, Patrick.
It is.
So for today's game, we're going to do a little bit of name the brand by the slogan. So this game is exactly what it sounds like. One of us will give the other person a slogan, and that person has to identify the brand behind it. We'll have 3 levels of this: easy, medium, and hard. We'll start off on the easy level. Do you want to go first as the giver or the guesser, Patrick?
I want to go as the guesser. Can I guess? I like guessing.
Yeah.
Up front to our listeners, I do not know what you picked, right? So this is totally pure and utter guessing.
Yeah, that's true. We don't know what the other person has prepared here. So it's a quiz. We have to use our brains. We have to see if we can come up with the answer. We have to see what we actually know. So this is my easy one, Patrick. Are you ready for me to pitch it to you?
I'm ready. Let's have at it.
All right, here is the slogan. You tell me the brand behind it. Can you hear me now?
Oh, that's Verizon.
That is Verizon. That was
easy.
That's why it's the easy category, right?
Yeah, but you know what was actually slightly difficult about that one is I pictured the guy, and now the guy works for Sprint. I had a moment of like, wait, no, it's Verizon, not Sprint, right? It was
Messed
weird.
with your mind for a while.
For a brief moment, I had to recall what he was saying and what color he was wearing, if it was yellow or red.
I thought you were saying you pictured the guy, and then for a minute you thought you were podcasting with that guy. And you're like, wow, this podcast just got way better.
Well, you sounded a lot like him when you said that slogan.
Well, I unzipped my face and I was him.
That's actually terrifying. The visual that you just gave me of you unzipping your face made me a little scared.
Well, hopefully it did the same thing for all our listeners too.
All right, so here's mine. This is going to be very easy for you, so I'm just going to preface that.
Now, we like to start slow, so good.
Yeah. The best a man can get.
Ooh, that's one of my favorites from the 80s. That is Gillette.
Yes.
The best a man can get.
That was nice. I like the way you harmonized that one. You know, that's only from the late 80s. I think it started in 89.
Yeah, I think that's why them singing it on commercials is hammered in my head, because that's one of those things from when I was a kid. I just remembering commercials over and over again.
Which I think they still use as best a man can get.
Yeah, I think they do. I'm not sure, but...
Yeah. So what's your medium level?
All right, let's move into medium. Things are going to get a little harder here. Maybe you'll think they're harder, maybe you won't. I don't know. My medium is the ultimate driving machine.
Man, is that Audi or is it Mercedes? Or is it none of those?
It's none of those.
Shoot. I don't know
The
that
ultimate
one.
driving machine. It's all about driving.
Jaguar.
No, but a good guess.
Man. Damn, man. I don't know this one then. It's a
It's
car.
too hard. Should have this
correct?
have been hard? I don't know. It's the one you're missing. You're going to hear it and you're going to be like, ah.
I know. I'm going to hate myself for it as soon as I hear it. I'm going to be like, that's it. I'm throwing in the towel. What is it? Go ahead. You can tell me.
It's
Okay,
BMW.
Of course it's BMW.
BMW. I don't know. Was it? Should that have been a hard? Maybe that was too hard.
No. Well, I mean, I should have known that because I actually went around in a circle of BMW, right? I had Mercedes, Jaguar.
All the high-end automobiles.
Yeah, because this is the ultimate driving machine, right?
Well, it's all right. It's okay to miss one.
Yeah. So my medium is, look, Ma, no cavities.
Ma, no cavities. I don't really know that one. I'm going to guess based on, what it is, that it's Crest.
Yes, very good.
Okay, I don't remember ever hearing that, though. It kind of sounds familiar, but I can't, place it within a commercial or an ad or a Crest brand somewhere.
But it did have cavities in it, so you knew it was going to be a toothpaste company. So I figured you really could make 2 or 3 guesses and still get it, right? Because
It's probably Colgate or Crest, yeah.
I thought that was pretty good, and you got it.
Yeah, a lucky get for me. All right, level hard. The highest level here. Let's see if you think this is harder than the medium.
I'm ready. Hit me.
So there's actually 2 slight variations of this one. The slogan started out as because I'm worth it, and then it evolved into because you're worth it. Because I'm worth it, or because you're worth it.
Huh. Man, that's a hard one.
Oh, so it does fit hard. I categorized correctly.
This one, because I'm worth it. Man, I don't even recall that being... I want to say it's like L'Oreal or...
It is L'Oreal.
Is it?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah, you got it.
How odd is that I got that? That is such a strange... I just really pulled from the ether on that one.
I think that was one that hit a lot in the 80s, so it might have just been subconsciously in your head. Sybil Shepherd or somebody saying that. He might have just somehow tapped into something.
Yeah, it was a total recall moment. Mm-hmm. It's L'Oreal.
Because you're worth it.
Yeah, man, I don't know how I pulled that out of nowhere.
Impressive feat, though. Got you 2 out of 3. If you would have missed that one, you would have had 1 out of 3, which,
I would have lost my standing because, I think the last name game / guess the whatever we did the mystery game, I think I got them all.
Yeah.
Okay, so my third one, which is pretty hard, here it goes. It takes a licking and keeps on ticking.
I definitely know that one. That is Timex.
Yes. 1956 that one started. So
It's a classic.
yeah, most listeners will probably say, man, Patrick's were really easy.
I would say yours are a tick easier than mine. You're right.
I was definitely at a disadvantage at this episode.
Next time we play a game, I imagine you're going to come hard at me.
Those were good, though. I like the name game or the mystery game. It's fun.
Yeah. It's interesting seeing what the other person will remember, because you see some of these things, and like you said, they're recognizable when you see them with the brand name, but it's a whole different story when you hear them without that brand next to them. Would you make that connection? Would I have gotten these ones that I put together? I'm not sure, but...
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit more about brand slogans in a minute. We'll tell you which brand slogans rank amongst our best of all time. But first, let's get a quick word from our sponsor.
Today's sponsor is Farmers Insurance. Insurance can be confusing, overwhelming, and time-consuming. At Hire Insurance Agency, we remove the guesswork and hassle, helping you protect what matters most. We offer a wide range of auto, home, business, and life insurance policies to help you meet your specific needs. Call 844-543-3463 or visit hireinsurance.com. That's HYRE insurance.com for more information.
Milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
Melt in your mouth, not in your hand.
Melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
Rich, delicious milk chocolate, but there's no chocolate mess because M&M's have a bright candy shell.
M&M's chocolate candy, I think you're just grand. Melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
M&M's plain and peanut chocolate candies.
That was a clip from a 1979 commercial for M&M's, prominently featuring the now famous and some would say not completely accurate slogan, melts in your mouth, not in your hands. Will that slogan make either of our lists of all-time favorite ad slogans? You're about to find out. So Patrick, we put together a list of 3 of our favorite or top brand slogans. Before we jump right into those, let's talk for a second about what do you think makes for a good slogan, or the ones that stuck out to you?
You know, ones that not only myself that I would identify with and remember and have high recall value, but ones that I thought that generally speaking were universally identifiable. And then the other thing I also looked at was the longevity of those slogans. Like, did they have a longer shelf life? So, how about you?
When I look at some of the things I ended up picking, it's the ones that states a benefit. You know, it kind of gives you an easy, straightforward way to just remember the key benefit of the brand, which all good slogans mostly do. The other thing about them is most of the great ones or the famous ones, the ones that end up sticking around, use these memory techniques within them. You know, usually there's some kind of rhyming or rhythm or repetition, alliteration, or they're really short, you know. They're these words that are put together in such a way that they just make it so easy for you to grab onto them and hold onto them in your brain decades later, typically.
Yeah. One of the things that you and I had talked about before the podcast is to identify slogans and taglines. Sort of there's a blurry line between them.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of mixed feelings about what makes a slogan, what makes a tagline. Now, to me, a good slogan, companies tend to use slogan as a tagline, right? It doesn't necessarily start off as a tagline, but it ends up becoming a tagline, which in my mind is the representation of the perfect slogan, right? If it's so good, it ends up becoming your company tagline, then so be it, you know?
Yeah, it's a crazy thing, and you don't want to go into it too much because it's almost a whole show within itself. You could, just dive into that rabbit hole and get lost. But brand tagline, the slogan can be one and the same. They can be the same thing for a company. They can also be very different things. I think of the tagline as something that would sit under the brand logo in print, you know, whereas I think of the slogan as more of something you'd see on an ad or in a commercial, something like that. That's kind of my differentiator. I don't know if that's true, you know, if you go in like a marketing class, if they could back that up. But again, and it's a distinction that's probably open to some discussion and debate, but I think it's important to mention that because if you look online, the way people talk about slogans and taglines, there's so much overlap. Even veteran marketers, they're using them interchangeably, which makes for a lot of confusion.
Yeah, and that's the key there. I mean, you know, no matter who you ask, it's so blurry. So I just thought I'd point that out, but, you know, again, the list today, they could tread onto both territories, whether you want to call them a slogan or a tagline. But for the sake of and the purpose today, we will be calling them slogans. So you want to start off, do you have your first pick for the favorite brand slogan?
Yeah, for the first one on my list, I'm actually going to call a quick audible here. What I originally was going to talk about for the one in this spot was something we already mentioned, which is Timex. Takes a lickin', keeps on tickin'. I love the rhyme of this, the benefit of durability. But since we already mentioned that, I'm going to go with something else that I kind of had as an alternative or an honorable mention that I'd rather take the time to talk about instead. You know, just get more in there, which I like to do. And that's the quicker picker-upper.
Oh, I love this one. It was actually one that I fought with, Bounty.
Oh, good. Well, see, I'm glad I got to slide that in there then.
Yeah.
This one's a great one. You know, I talked about using those memory techniques of how you put these words together. Obviously, quicker, picker, upper, just made to be remembered, you know. But at the same time, simplifies what a complex thing of paper towels actually does. Pick up things for you fast. You got a mess, we'll pick it up for you fast. Quicker than the competition does, than the other guy can. Great the way they get the benefit out there, 4 words, and do it in such a memorable way that's been used as a slogan and a jingle and been used for decades by Bounty.
You know, we talk about this often on the podcast from my childhood standpoint, man. I just remember those commercials so often that the jingle has just stuck in my brain for all time.
It's really an ingenious combination of words there. I give that one a lot of credit. I'm glad I got to talk about it and put it on the list.
For sure. My first one on the list, Shad, is not quite as catchy as Quicker, Picker, Upper, but it has that same type of groovy flow to it, and it's finger licking good. It evokes emotion. It reminds you when you're eating something, you're just licking food off your fingers, you know that that food is so good. You know that it's going to taste amazing. So show the benefits of eating KFC, KFC being Kentucky Fried Chicken. And going back to one of my qualifiers, it's been used since 1952, even in very recent advertising for KFC.
It is. 3 words really creates an image for you, right? In your mind, you can just see it. It tells you something, it reminds you of something, it makes you feel something, and it makes you think something. It's also the one, going back to that post we had on the Speaking Humans site, the study they had of giving people a slogan and seeing if they could connect the brand to it. The one people could most commonly connect with the brand, finger licking good, is like 87% of people.
Yeah. And it's funny because KFC is such a global brand. I think that also is a testament to how a slogan can really build up a brand like KFC.
Yeah, it's one of those ones when you hear it, you're like, it's something.
It's finger looking good. So what else do you have on your list? What's number 2?
My number 2 is also in the realm of food, and it is Subway. Eat fresh. 2 words, short, quick, and man, it gets you there. Eat, it's food, and it's fresh. Fresh sounds great. Obviously the benefit there is fresh ingredients. Simplicity, you're contrasting with fast food, they're frozen ingredients, and fresh is just such a great word. And the fact that they get it done here with just 2 words, eat fresh. It's powerful. It was, along with Jared, now imprisoned, whatever that's worth, helped, the Subway brand really grow in the 2000s.
Yeah. Somehow I don't think he's eating fresh while he's in prison. What do you think?
Probably not, unless, somebody's bringing it in.
They're bringing in Subway for him. That would be a real kick to the nads. It's a good one. It gives you that visual of freshness, which I think is really important.
Yeah, and it definitely helped build up that brand. I don't super love Subway, but I love the tagline, and at the time it definitely made it seem like something different and better than the other fast food options that were out there. So it did a great job of positioning that brand to succeed.
Eat fresh. It doesn't say diabetes to me.
It's more appealing.
It is, definitely, more so than diabetes. So my number 2 is, let's see if you can guess it, don't leave home without it.
American Express.
Yeah. What I love about this slogan is that it tells you. It doesn't ask. It's basically saying, don't leave home without it because you need this. It's implying that this is a necessity in your wallet, in your pocket, whenever you leave your home. I love that. It's very confident. And it was used for over 25 years. So don't leave home without it. American Express. What'd you think of that one?
That's a good one. One I also considered. I also remember, they used it in their marketing for a long time, having I remember different celebrities. There was a commercial with Seinfeld saying, don't leave home without it. It was one of those phrases that you just heard often repeated. The other one to go along with it, from another credit card company, some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. Another good credit card tagline, much longer one. A strong one that I remember that I don't know if they're still using, but they used for a long time.
That's the thing. Credit card companies, they had to have slogans. They had to make people feel that their cards were more important than the other credit cards out there and that they were more widely accepted, too, was a big thing. The credit card companies, man, they really beat the slogans over our heads for a long period of time so that they're ingrained in our brains, right?
Yeah. Well, and there was a period where you had to get people comfortable with using credit cards. This idea of having this thing that's not your money, But I think that's another thing that Don't Leave Home Without It did. It was this reassurance when you're gone, you don't have cash with you. You can use this card. Everything's going to be all right. Makes you feel a little better, gave you that comfort. So last on my list, in my top slot, I would say, is a classic, and that's Avis. We try harder. So simple, so powerful. This one goes back to the 1960s, and it was an instant success. Avis was the second place in the rental car business. They went to, the head of the company and they said, what can we sell you on? Are you cheaper than the other guy? No, we're not cheaper. Do you have more cars? Do you have better cars? No, we don't really have any of that. What's the benefit? What do you do better? The guy said, we try harder. We're second place. We try harder. Customer service is better. that was it. That was the light bulb moment. That's what that means. We're going to work harder. We're going to do better for you. We're going to give you better customer service because we're the second place company and we're trying to be first as opposed to the first place company. And it became an instant success. And it propelled the brand forward in a way that it was used for decades, just became incredibly well known, had an impact on their bottom line almost immediately. It spoke to people and it connected.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is because of the honesty in that statement, right? And that speaks volumes.
And you're right. It's more transparency in a time when there wasn't a lot of transparency in advertising in particular.
It's something that people want even more today, but back then, for sure, you didn't have it as much.
What's your last or final one?
So this one holds a special place because from its infancy to even today, it's still being used, and that is Got Milk. So milk, or the California Milk Processor Board, which is the more formal title. In '93, the California dairy processors came together to form the California Milk Processor Board, and their overall mission was basically just to remind people to drink milk, right? At the time, the ad agency Goodby, Berlin, and Silverstein, they basically installed a video camera behind this refrigerator to monitor the reaction of people who unexpectedly ran out of milk. They basically came to the understanding that people despised being out of milk. It was unacceptable to people. Like, when they'd run out, they'd be like, "What? We're out of milk." Think about you eating a chocolate chip cookie or a brownie and then not having any milk left, right? It's like chaos and end of times in your house, right? And that's how they got to the Got Milk advertising campaign. It originally aired in 1993, and they still use it to this day. So it's a very, very powerful question, right? Do I have some in my refrigerator right now? Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Again, oh yeah. And again, 2 words. Always amazing when you can do, it's like Eat Fresh. When you can do something in 2 words or 3 words, it's always incredible, especially when it can have that impact. And the power you can have with the question mark, an effectively used, punctuation mark, like a question mark in some of these things, can make a big impact too. And that's just an example of one of these great slogans that's just so simple, but the way it's been used, I think back to, you probably remember from the 90s, there was a commercial where a guy I think he was eating cookies, and then he gets a phone call. They're asking him a trivia question to win some money or something. And he's trying to say Alexander Hamilton. If I'm remembering this commercial correctly, it's something like this.
Yeah.
But he can't get the words out. He's trying to say it, but he can't because he has no milk to wash it down. Alexander Hamilton. He's trying to say Alexander Hamilton with a cookie in his mouth, and he can't.
Yes, that's a great one.
And so then they hit you with the Got Milk at the end. It's just kind of an example of why you need that milk. And that's just one of those slogans that if you ask anybody right now, they would know that slogan.
Yeah, very powerful for sure.
Okay. I know you hate honorable mentions, so I won't ask you if you have any. But if you want to mention some, you can. But I personally just want to mention a couple. There were a couple that almost cracked my list but didn't. One is Be All That You Can Be, the Army slogan, which I think is a pretty good one, has been well used over the decades. Another one that isn't used anymore, I'm not even sure if this brand's around anymore because I haven't seen anything from them in a long time, but I always thought was a pretty good one. Raise your hand if you're sure, from Sure Deodorant. Raise your hand. You won't have any spots under your armpits from your sweat because you're using Sure Deodorant. I thought that was pretty clever. And that was a good one back in the day that got a lot of play. So those were just 2 I wanted to give a quick shout out, and that's it. If you got any, you could throw them in there, but no pressure, man.
You know what I always say about the honorable mentions? This is really basically just glorified losers. No, those are good ones. I do like the Army one. I think that is a powerful and a very recognizable one. The military ones are actually very well known, I think.
Mm-hmm. The Marines.
The Marines, the few, the proud, the Marines. I mean, come on, who hasn't heard that one? So, but again, it just goes to show that slogans, brands can't really live without in a lot of ways. They hold them up. Sometimes they become synonymous with the company name in a lot of cases. So,
and when they're good or great, they can work in a big way where they actually transform or lift up the brand, which is crazy when we're talking about, in some cases, just a couple of words. And on that note, let's get our final nugget of human wisdom. Human wisdom.
Creating a slogan that not only identifies and connects with your human customers, but also reflects the values and mission of the company requires intense reflection. If being honest, the slogan can become something more than a catchphrase. It could become just as identifiable as the company name itself. But just like anything else in life and in business, a slogan can be fragile. So our final nugget of human wisdom today comes in the form of a slogan from one of the world's largest airlines. United, in 1966, launched their signature slogan, "Fly the Friendly Skies," which was used consistently for over 30 years before changing to "It's time to fly," a phrase that's inherently less friendly. According to the 2016 J.D. Power Customer Satisfaction Survey, United ranked last amongst all airlines. Only budget carrier Frontier scored worse than them. The perception of its passengers, except the elite and ultra-elite flyers, ranged from distrust and resignation to anger and disgust. Then, in 2017, United Airlines had a string of bad customer service events that caused a backlash from the public and the media, which caused them to question whether or not the half-a-century-old slogan still accurately described United Airlines. In these moments, the slogan went from something that made people feel a warm human experience to something that caused people to feel betrayed. Beyond the specific events that led to the public relations nightmare, I believe it was this feeling of betrayal from that age-old slogan, "Fly the Friendly Skies," that finally broke people's confidence in the airline carrier. So our nugget of human wisdom today really builds on the idea that treat the slogan as part of the brand and live the slogan.
The new slogan is "Live the Slogan." Good point you make there. Obviously, one of the key things with a slogan, right, or almost all facets of marketing and branding, is the brand has to be true to what you're putting out there, and what you're putting out there has to be true to the brand. In the case of United, you had all these things happen all there that's antithetical to what that old slogan was telling us. These were no longer the friendly skies as we were hearing it, but that was the old slogan we knew, and these two things were at war in our minds. That makes people have a worse impression than they would before. They're thinking of this old slogan, they're hearing these new things, that's elevating the negative in a way. So if you're going to put the slogan out there, you have to live the slogan.
Live the slogan. Yeah, go back to that betrayal I think that people felt really worsened the total effect of that public relations nightmare, right? I mean, you went from something that people believed was true about your brand, and then you basically just kicked them in the nads, as I like to say in this episode. So just a small nugget of human wisdom that you could take with you. Live the slogan.
Another great slogan, too, mentioned, "Fly the Friendly Skies." Another one I considered. I'm glad you got it out there. Another honorable for me. Thanks.
Yeah, I always try to beef up your honorable mentions as much as I possibly can. It is a good slogan, though. You got to admit, "Fly the Friendly Skies," evokes emotion, just like all the other great slogans out there. And it's memorable.
Absolutely. It's got that alliteration in there. And who doesn't want to fly the friendly skies? Sounds fantastic.
Who would have thought the skies were friendly? I never would have even imagined the skies being friendly until they mentioned it.
You're sitting back having a drink, a cloud smiling at you,
Making me feel warm and good about myself, my travels.
and then they beat you and tell you to get off the plane.
Before I'm even in the air, they tell me I can't even go into the friendly skies. What do you mean? Yeah, you're not allowed to fly the friendly skies, buddy. Get out.
They're not friendly for you, pal. Get out of here.
I don't want to leave. Well, then we're going to have to drag you out. Goodbye. So that took a turn for the worse, but that's the way it goes
It
sometimes.
often does. Yep.
That's it for today's episode, everyone. You can find current and past episodes of the podcast on speakinghuman.com. You can also find the podcast on iTunes, where you can be superhuman and leave us a superhuman review. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Tweet us your favorite slogan of all time using the hashtag #BestBrandSlogans. You can find us at speaking_human on Twitter. That's at speaking_human on Twitter. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Speaking Human. Catch you then, humans.
Speaking human.
And we're out.
We'll snap it to a Slim Jim. Make the list. Let me see if I can do this again. Will snap into a Slim Jim make the list?
I don't know about your Macho Man.
Snap into a Slim Jim.
He needs a cough drop.
Snap into a Slim Jim. That was pretty good. Where am I?
Yours like Macho Man Randy Savage now.
What are you doing, kids? Too soon.